The second half of the season has been an absolute slaughter for Jesse Stevens. Denying Modoff wins since round 4, we enter the finale with Jesse pretty much only needing to show up on the grid. As always with racing, you can't count anything as a formality because sometimes it's just too easy for the unexpected to happen. We'll see if Stevens can wrap it up as we get ready to watch round 10 of the PRL GTE Sportscar Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel and the iRacing Esports Network. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Ossian Puhaka. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Road Atlanta can be a cruel track at the best of times. The punishment it doles out is typically race ending. To get a good look at why it's such a dangerous circuit, let's head to our track guide. Welcome to Road Atlanta. The scene of incredible sports car racing for decades and the home to the Petit Le Mans, this is a track that has proven itself to be worthy of attention on a world stage. With it being situated only an hour northeast of Atlanta, Georgia, the circuit is in a prime location. But despite its flagship race, in contrast to the real Le Mans, the full course is a measly 2.5 miles long. The club layouts also clock in at just under 2 miles. Packed within this small lap length is a series of technical and challenging corners, some of which can be race-ending even when small mistakes are made. Turn 1 is a fast sweeper which compresses the car into the track, but the high speeds mean that when you go off, you typically go off in a big way. Turn 3 is notorious for its curved entry into a blind apex. Too far inside and you face a cut course penalty. Too far outside and you're likely to spin out. Then there's the unassuming Turn 5. The wide curving lures you into getting greedy, but the close walls on either side gobble up cars and spit them out as a crumpled heap. With all the tricky fast turns, that's not to say that there aren't passing opportunities. The main one comes at the chicane at the bottom of the backstretch. The huge downhill drop into the turn makes outbraking yourself quite easy though, so be careful. The whole thing wraps up with the frightening final corner. With nothing but a giant wall right to the outside as cars fly through at high speed, it's not often that wrecks are small. Boasting a wide swath of series over its history, everything from NASCAR to Indy Lights and of course IMSA, the main use of the track is SCCA events and driving schools. No wonder this place is popular both in real life and here on the iRacing service. Fans will no doubt get to enjoy many more years of action at this incredible track. That beautiful sunset shot during our track guide. We get to mimic it here in real life as we're going to go into the dark for tonight's race. But Ossian, why don't you shed some light, if you will, on the details of this circuit?
I will gladly do so, Joe. We got 12 corners here, none of which have a name. So Spa, eat your heart out. 2.5 miles, 4.1 kilometers here. And twisting, turning up the hill, down the hill, fast corners, the world famous SS, which you see coming to view right now. And it is a real driver's circuit, a real challenge, one which will put fear and courage into the hearts of these drivers. Which is it going to be today? Well, we'll find out during the next 60 minutes.
Absolutely. And well, as always, today's race and the next 60 minutes are brought to you by SIMSA. Simulation Motorsports Affinity provides many consulting services, from completely customizing simulators to managing teams, individual drivers, and complete events. They're working hard to bring organizations, companies, manufacturers, teams, and drivers together at one place to support and promote sim racing internationally. They're also bridging virtual and real motorsports by providing a network between these two, involving sim racers, real drivers, teams, managers, engineers, and of course, motorsport fans alike. You can find out more about how you can get involved at simsa.net. Today's broadcast is also proudly sponsored by Butt Kicker. Butt Kicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to any game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. The winner of Division 1 here in the PRL GTE Sports Car Series will get a Butt Kicker Gamer 2 or a simulation kit. Also, both drivers of the winning team in the team's championship will get a free t-shirt. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com. Now, talking about that championship, unfortunately, unless we get a large surge in drivers here in the rest of qualifying, I can tell fans of Carl Modoff that you are going to be disappointed because the championship is going to go to Jesse Stevens. We don't have enough drivers for the points to go down to 0 today. So, despite there being no drop weeks, basically Jesse Stevens will clinch it as soon as the cars grid up after qualifying. Stephen Ash is back there in third currently, where he's got quite a bit of a distance from Michael Ross as well, so it's unlikely that will switch around. And then Sean Romig, probably among some of the closest here, trying to get up to fourth place. But otherwise, pretty much all of those top 5 positions are well locked in. Austin, there's the team's championship. Do we at least have some drama there?
Yes, no, maybe. I mean, Punto CL Racing Blue, they are now in the lead with Ignacio Fredes and Horacio Calquin 15 points ahead of Radicals Online, but we know the form Jesse Stevens is in. Can he tow himself and Jason Hodgson to the victory lane there too? Full Send Racing in P number 3, Mac Miller and Stephen Ash driving for them. GDR Ventus Rennsport SET Ford, Sean Romick and Ted Lowendick. And in the 5th place, it is Punto CL Racing Red, Rodrigo Mies and Nicolas Rubilar. They are searching for better positions. You can see the points there on your screens. And well, Radicals Online, they have a full day's work ahead of them, but Joe, we know how inconsistent Punto guys can be at times, so, there is still something to worry about at least.
Yeah, there's always hope until it's mathematically over. You got to keep trying for it. Now, speaking of being mathematically over, let's go over this finale, around 10 out of 10, give you the race details for today. They have open setups in this series of the 4 cars that you can choose. There's the different makes that you can have in this racing series. And it is a 60-minute race that they will be running. They have an incident cap. You get to stop and go at 13 incidents, and then you actually get disqualified at 20. There's a few places you can rack those up here around Road Atlanta, especially with a few chicanes throughout, but hopefully we won't see too many cars disappear throughout the day. And there's the bonus points that are available down at the bottom. Sadly, won't be as important as we may have hoped for some drama at the end of this, because things certainly spread apart after the end of last round that we had at Sonoma. You are, of course, once again watching this on the iRacing Esports Network. For information on how to get your iRacing career started, log on to iRacing.com. You too can race in a series just like the Precision Racing League and hop in these GTE cars and see how you fare up against guys like Stevens and Modoff and Pfeffer. Make sure and check it out and subscribe to the channel while you're here. We love bringing you all this action here on IESN. So, one thing we haven't talked about, though, is the orange zone that they're going to have in this race. And honestly, this seems pretty much the most logical, the one that they've done for this one, Ozzy.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to go 3 wide into the SS, not at all. That's just bad news, hombre. And turn 1, they're going to file back in line, be in a single file, hopefully, all the way through the SS. And 10 at the exit of turn number 5, they can start racing again. Well, they can race through the orange zone. It's just that extra caution is usually suggested, and the stewards are gonna keep an especially keen eye on anyone who decides to be a naughty boy through those opening corners. But, well, they haven't been pretty naughty since round number 1 in this series. Why would they start now?
Yeah, it's been relatively calm. Relatively. It's... They've obeyed it. They definitely have taken heed of what the message was with those orange zones. I'm looking at the qualifying. Stevens is our provisional pole sitter, and by a big margin for such a short lap, almost half a second over Michael Ross. Modoff, though, he's actually only put 1 timed lap in. It's only got him up to 16th, so not sure if he's looking to just have fun today, maybe try to climb up through the field, or if this is legitimate.
Well, that's an interesting question. However, there is still time left. He's only put 1 on the board, as said. He's actually failed his first 2 laps, and that was his first timed lap, in fairness. 117.4, he just put in a banker. I think he can get into the 15s. I don't think, even though the championship is pretty much lost at this point for Karmodov, racing drivers do have pride. And that pride shows in that whenever you enter a race, as a racing driver, you are there to win that race. End of story. And should anyone say otherwise, they should hang up their gloves immediately. Because you are there to win. That's your only job as a racing driver. And Karmodov, he's a champion. He knows that. Another zero on the board, however, so he doesn't put in a time this time. Let's see the next lap. He is behind Michelin Ross, and we'll get by him now. So this is gonna be interesting.
I don't know if it's important to Carl, but worth noting that one significant stat is that it's 5 poles to 4 in favor of Jesse Stevens. So if he manages to get a pole away from Stevens here today, he'll at least tie on that measure over the course of the season. Like you said, maybe a point of pride for him, but he's still got to get out there and get a quick one in as we see Strykars there. And now Espinoza, who comes across the line, his first lap is going to put him in 16th. Actually, second time lap, it looks like. So that's a 17.3 for him. So he is actually just ahead of Karl Modov on our timing sheets. Mies still looking for a little bit of better luck around many of these tracks. And the 88 puts himself into third with his 5th lap. That last one didn't count.
Yeah, and, well, I hate to say it, but the closest Karmodov is gonna come to a pole this weekend is if he books a plane ticket to Warsaw, because he's not gonna get it with the Porsche. I don't think 116.9 on the board right now. I'd be happy to be proven wrong, but Jesse Stevens, his form is just incredible, and Modov goes off on turn number 1, it goes all the way into the wall, and well, that's it for his lap, and he still has 4 minutes, but he has to get those tires warm. So it's gonna be nip and tuck for him. Well, the bonus thing is that, Joe, it's gonna be at least be an interesting race if Karmodov starts outside the top 10.
Certainly will be, that's for sure. Michael Ross still the closest to Stevens, but still nearly 5/10 of a second back from that number 36. Is watching Espinoza now. The driver heading into turn 1 there in his Ferrari, one of those big, fast, sweeping corners. Wilson across the line. Looks like he goes a little bit faster, and that's going to put him into 6th position. Very tight, honestly, between 4th, 5th, and 6th. I guess you could put 7th in there as well, because there's less than a 10th between all 4 of those drivers.
Yeah, it's very close. Like Michael Ross, Rodrigo Mies, Christian Eisler, Christopher Pfeffer, and Brandon Wilson, as well as Stephen Nash. It's a very, very close between those guys, and especially close between the 4th and 7th places. So that's going to be a wild race.
Oh, goodness. Stevens finds a little bit more time, about half a 10th. So he's lengthened the marker that everybody else has got to try and beat. Watching Duhamel now, down in 17th. Modov has moved himself up to 14th since we were last looking. Looks like Duhamel is going to be heading in. I think Carl, is he on his outlap here? Or is this a timed one? His last was 1:16.9. That was before his
It's
lap.
an outlap. It has to be an outlap because he wrecked on that last lap.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So another point I got about this season, it's been a tale of 2 seasons in front in terms of Jesse Stevens and Karmodov. But it's also been a tale of 2 seasons in terms of car choices. We talked about Michael M. Ross being pretty much the only Ford near the top and early parts of the season. Remember Sebring and Lime Rock, we were talking about Michael M. Ross and his lonely Ford challenging the top guys. Well, now we only have one Ferrari in the race, Andres Espinosa. And, that's an incredible change, and just goes to show you what a single balance of performance BOP adjustment can do to a series.
Ooh, Stevens went even faster, and so did Fredes, I believe. Yeah, Ignacio Fredes moves himself up into 6th. So Stevens now with a 1:15.1 is 6/10 away from Michael Ross, but Ross is still in pit lane, so he cannot start a lap. 2nd will be the best he can do. Rodrigo Mies, who is tight behind him, is still out there.
Oh! Big one for Stevens. He's upside down at the exit of turn number 5. Sorry to bring that to your attention so quickly, but I was just watching him. He was hurling it. I think he wanted to do a 14, but he ran into Kenny Rodriguez at the exit of turn number 5. So, and just spearheaded the outside wall and went, I think, 3 or 4 times over the top. So, that's something to happen to Stevens.
Yeah. Well, I'm not too shocked because turn 5 is known for being pretty treacherous. Modoff went faster, but he stays in 14th, amazingly. This is going to be his last attempt as we're under 20 seconds now. See, Luis Pime Jr. going to be able to start his next lap in that number 17 car. Looks like he's going to be able to cross the line before the checkered flag. He doesn't improve, though, and the last one through is going to be Mac Miller to be able to start a new lap. Looks like that lap doesn't count, so Kyle Strykars will be your first to get the checkered flag here in qualifying, as we still have a number of competitors who are trying to improve. This could all change around before it's said and done. Ooh, very shaky, though, there in that Porsche. In fact, he's going to lose the car. Hopefully he stays out of the way. Yes, he does, of Espinoza. Andre in 12th place, comes down to the line. Does not improve, though. Stays in
Here
that
comes
P12.
Modov. Yeah, here comes Modov as well, coming into the last corner now. Sweeping right-hander flat out here for Modov. Can he improve? 16.7 to beat. 16.2. Goes 10th. So an improvement in positions, but not where we're used to seeing him.
And Mies went quicker, but stays in 3rd place. Cal Quinn doesn't improve. Looks like Pfeffer does. That's going to get him into 4th. Nicely done for him. Seeing if we get anybody else with the quickest last lap. I think Pime Jr. is going to be our last one. No, excuse me. I think Mac Miller made it across. So he'll be following him through. Miller, unfortunately, has a non-lap. He must have gone off track somewhere. Miller follows him across. Miller also stays put down in 15th place. All right, all 20 of our drivers managed to put laps in, but that seals the deal with the checkered flag out. We can't have anybody new come in, and that means Jesse Stevens not only takes the pole, but takes the championship. Michael Ross will be starting in 2nd today with Rodrigo Mies in P3. Then it's Christopher Pfeffer in 4th position. Christian Eisler starts P5. The outside of him is going to have Ignacio Fredes out there, with Brandon Wilson starting in 7th place. Stephen Ash will be P8. You've got Horatio Cal Quinn on the inside of row 5 and 9th. And we mentioned it, Karl Modoff, curiously, all the way down in 10th today.
Indeed, gonna be a hard struggle for him to climb up. Ted Lowendick 11th, about where we've used to seeing him. Rafael Russo starting 12th. Andres Espinosa in the lone Ferrari starting 13th. Can he bring the pride of Maranello into top 10? Sean Romick 14th, Mac Miller 15th, then it's Luis Pime Jr., Kyle Strykart, Sean Duhamel, Kenny Rodriguez, and Dave Peterson rounding out your 20-car field.
And it is already 8:40 p.m. virtual standard time. You can see how low the sun is. And since much of this track is surrounded by trees, pretty much the whole thing is already covered in shade. The lights are on from the cars, which, as you'd expect, the effect on the track conditions means that it's quite cool. It's 73 degrees Fahrenheit on the surface, and there is a mild wind. Hopefully shouldn't affect the cars too much, but really, I think the big question will be visibility today.
Visibility indeed. Well, Road Atlanta, they don't have many lights surrounding the circuit, which is quite surprising considering they do drive the Petit Le Mans here, which is a 10-hour event. And especially through the SS, when you're hurling flat out in those cars down the hill, it's gonna be a haunting experience, and you're gonna rely a lot on those headlights. We saw at Spa what can happen when you lose your headlights. That happened to one of the drivers there. By the way, track temp in the standard units is 23 degrees Celsius, and 21 degrees is the air temp, with winds blowing at 11 kilometers per hour for those who don't use imperial measurements.
Before the update, Ossian, as we're getting ready to take off behind the pace cars, because it looks like everybody has indeed lined up, I believe I do need to make one little asterisk on Jesse Stevens. I think they do not award points up to a certain lap. Let me, 50% of the race distance completed. So there is a very, very small chance that Stevens could still lose the championship to Modoff, but considering his starting position, it's looking less and less. He is coming into this thing at 33 points behind, and considering it's 35 for win, and he missed out on the bonus point for pole, it's just honestly not looking very likely at all that he'll be able to take this one away. So for those who are sticklers for the details, that is the probably lone scenario that he could take this championship if we get a Jesse Stevens who wrecks out early.
Nice job deflecting that one guy who was going to be.
Well, actually,
we love you guys, but we know you're out there, and
Yeah.
but just wanted to cover that off as we watch them come through the S's now up to turn 5. We saw the problems that can cause, and Stevens has already had an issue there once, so I guess it is possible that he could wreck the car, turn it upside down, blow the engine. That takes about an hour's worth of repairs, which with an hour race, that would put him out of it. So again, feasible, but I mean, if I was Stevens, Ossian, I would maybe back it down if I felt that was under threat.
Yeah, and Stevens, just all he has to do is finish over half of these laps. Now, we saw him go upside down in qualifying. That is one thing, or rather, we didn't see him. I saw him go upside down in qualifying. But yeah, Stevens, well, all he has to do is finish here. That is easier than it, well, not as easy as it sounds at Road Atlanta. But even if Stevens does somehow manage to wreck himself out of contention within the first few laps, remember, Car Modo still has to win this race.
I thought to be finished, all you got to do is mumble a lot and spend the winter indoors.
Oi.
Too soon? Too soon. All right. Well, Jesse Stevens, as he comes out of the final chicane, is going to kick off this race because he will be given control by the pace car. Pace car is in. Stevens waiting. Green flag is out. He gives a long wait on this start, and that checks up everybody behind him quite a bit. There's still a lot of side-by-side coming down to turn 1 with a few looking for 3 wide. That's usually a bad thing, and some actually attempt it, and we already have a car tipped off. That's Ross. More piling in. Try to figure out who else that is involved.
Pfeffer is around, at least. Christopher Pfeffer and a couple of other cars involved. Michael and Ross involved too, yeah.
Wow, bad start for a number of drivers. Did Modoff get through that? Modoff did. Wow, Modoff is up to 4th now.
No.
So that was a bit of a boon for him.
Yeah, it is. So we got 3 Fords already out of the top contention in lap number 1. And those guys, just to give you a quick update, Ignacio Fredes and Michael M. Ross and Luis Pamp Jr. is around as well in his Porsche, and Pfeffer is in the pit lane. So that's already a number of guys from near the top out of contention in lap number 1.
They come down to the chicane. Jesse Stevens still holding a decent gap, about half a second over Rodrigo Mies, so he's not under threat right now, but he hasn't scampered away. They see a gap because of that wreck that happened in turn 1. Brandon Wilson back there in 3rd, almost 2 seconds back, with Modoff following him closely.
Yeah, this is the break Modoff needed, and Rodrigo Mies too. I'll be interested to see what can happen here. Remember, they had an epic battle in the season opener at Sebring, Jesse Stevens and Rodrigo Mies. Since then, it has been a tale of 2 different seasons for them. Rodrigo Mies battling bad luck. Jesse Stevens has been driving from victory to victory. But Mies, I think, here in the season finale, well, he looks racy. So I do wonder if he can give Jesse Stevens a bit of a challenge. And the battle for P number 3 as well, Brandon Wilson, Car Modoff, that's going to be an interesting one. With Rafael Russo up to 5th place.
So, bad news for Ignacio Fredes fans. He tried to come into the pits after the damage he got on lap 1 and made it worse because he wrecked on his way into the pits. He has since entered his stall as we continue to watch this fight back here for the top spots. Eisler actually looking like he might be able to get something from Russo. Russo doesn't defend. Christian takes it down deep into the chicane, and that's going to give him 5th place.
Yeah, Christian Eisler, he was involved in that lap 1 collision, but didn't seem too bad off from it, and he's now sitting in 5th place after what was an easy overtake. And next up, we have Stephen Ash and Horacio Calguin looking for that 6th position from Rafael Russo. So the Brazilian driver is certainly under some great pressure here.
Watch from Cal Quinn's perspective at the back of this quartet. Different makes a car in here as well among them. They swing it through the S's and up to turn 5. Hopefully everybody clean through this time, but bad exit for Russo as Ash tries to find his way around. Slight defensive move, comes back to the racing line, still a little shallow. Only a half-hearted cover there.
Yeah, and Stephen Ash looking for the back straight, which is the reasonable thing to do. Now, some commentators call those lesmos, I call them corners, as they head to the back straight. Stephen Ash just trying to draft behind Rafael Russo, and he's got also Calguin right behind him. I wonder if Ash is gonna try it on the inside here.
Still only mildly covers it off. Wow, late move from Ash, sends the car in, and he makes it stick. That's going to give Stephen Ash 6th place. In fact, another position may be going away from Russo. Almost begging doors with Cal Quinn. And I think the Ford might be able to get it. No, he's coming back at him. Russo carries the speed well, coming out of that final fast corner. Down into turn 1, he still is on the outside. This is going to be a tough one to defend from because it'll be the outside of 3 as well. And finally, Cal Quinn gives it up.
That was great defense from Rafael Russo. Didn't give up. Hung it around the outside in the last corner. Calguin was respectable too, gave him room, and as a result of that, Russo was able to come back on the outside, brave it around the outside in turn number 1, and well, took the position into the SS. So Calguin, he's gonna lose a bit of time behind Rafael Russo, and you can see what that has done to him. Just a couple of corners side by side, 1 lap behind a slower driver or half a lap, and Stephen Ash, he's already up and away from these 2 drivers.
Let's take a look at a replay now that we finally have a brief moment on what happened with lap 1. No Pfeffer was involved in it. In fact, we're looking at that 66 car. He was in the middle of the 3 wide situation. To his inside, that was Eisler, and it was Ross to his outside who got tipped way out into the tire barrier. I think it was Stephen Ash who had a hard T-bone into the side of Pfeffer here.
Yeah, you can see them. Roscoe's tear, and then, oh yeah, that was a hard impact, and then another impact as well. And you can see Pfeffer just spinning around in the middle of the field. Nothing he can do there other than take a tow back into the pit lane. And as we return to the action, Rafa Russo still fending off Calguin and Sean Roaming as well, who's joining the battle. Now, another point I would like to make, Joe, about that lap 1 incident as we watch these guys battle. That was all in the orange zone, so stewards are going to be looking extra hard at them.
Yeah, I have a feeling, because I do believe they carry penalties over to the following season. There might be a few unhappy drivers come lap 1 is off the turn 7 run to the backstretch. Horatio Cal Quinn all over the back of Russo. He's going to get the slipstream. We've seen this Ford do very well in a straight line before. He's going to have to go the long way around. Russo defends down into the chicane. Heavy braking in this downhill zone, but way too wide. Off into the marbles. Cal Quinn certainly not going to get it done out there.
No, and another great defense from Rafael Russo. He's putting his car exactly where it needs to be. And I think, well, it's not rocket science to figure it out. Calguin is getting frustrated behind him, and he's just trying desperately to find a way past, with Sean Romig hounding him as well. But Russo, credit where it's due, he may not have the raw pace, but he certainly has the skill to stay in the 7th position.
We're switching up to the battle for P3. Wilson has done a good job getting himself from 7th up to 3rd, but he might not stay on the podium. Modoff hunting him down from 10th on the grid, avoiding the chaos in front of him and right on board. He's sawing at that wheel quite a bit, though, it looks like.
Yeah, he's not happy during the later portion of the season. He's been making mistakes, uncharacteristic for Modoff, and he just can't get the car set up where it needs to be. But here he is very close into the last chicane, but no chance here. Brandon Wilson retains the 3rd position right now. He number 3. And, well, Brandon Wilson, I must say about him, he's been making some mistakes throughout the season. So I wonder if he can hold his nerve and then hold on to the podium, because that would be a great thing for a driver like him who's been battling difficulties, I think must be battling with his confidence as well as a driver to get a podium to round out the season and go fresh into a new season with a whole new mindset that he can do it.
We had a great pass just recently with Romig getting by Cal Quinn. Took good advantage of an attempt that he had on Russo. Let's see if we can get the replay on this one, because it took a couple corners, but Romig gutted it out. Oh, there was just a bobble now from Cal Quinn, but we got the replay. Let's see how this looked on camera. Yeah, here you see it's just off the chicane. Cal Quinn had already made his attempt, and Romig uses the speed around the outside, putting wheels in the dirt, and even thinks about getting a second one down into turn 1 with Russo.
Yeah, that's an unbelievable display of racecraft by Sean Romig there. Hats off to this man. He saw the opportunity and he took it with both hands.
Cal Quinn now back to 9th. Boy, it's been a bad day for, well, not a super bad day, I should say. He's back to where he started this race here in 9th position, but he was much higher not long ago. He's right on the rear of Romig in the meantime. In fact, taking a look down into turn 1, is Romig going to give him space just about a car's width through that first corner? But eventually, it looks like Cal Quinn has to give it up once more. We've seen him do that a couple times on that run up to turn 2.
We have, and Cal Quinn just finding it very difficult not only to get past Rafael Russo, but now also getting past Sean Romig as well. So he's fighting definitely some difficulties today. And just imagine what he could have done if he got him past Rafael Russo earlier. He could be right behind Stephen Ash right now. Stephen Ash was catching up to Christian Eisler slowly. No need to go to it because there's still a bit of a gap. But this just goes to show you the importance of making a move where it counts.
So we take a look at Romig here with Cal Quinn, because that is staying very close down into the chicane. Romig not even going defensive this time.
Yeah, and we're right on board with him. Right on board with Horatio Cal Quinn right now. You can see him just trying to find a place somewhere. Oh, to the inside in turn number 1. He's gonna try it. Horatio Cal Quinn, can he make it stick this time? Sean Romig on the outside has to give up the space, and Horatio Cal Quinn finally making an offensive move here. A great pass on Sean Romig, who earlier used the opportunity, and now he can get back after Rafael Russo.
That gets a nod of approval from me. Brave stuff, but fair, as the 666 car gets back into 8th by his competitor. Behind them, it's been forming a bit of a train. Espinoza leads Strykars, Miller, and Lowendick. This is all for 10th position. They're lighting up the track with all these cars. Train of 5, actually, it looks like, between them. Ross now joining them after his flying off on turn 1, lap 1. Not of his own doing, I don't think, really. Just being stuck in the outside of that 3 wide.
And his car looks okay. Michael Ross, I'm not seeing any significant damage for Michael here, so he can get these guys. And he's very fast, and oh, he tries to the inside on Lowendick. I think he was a bit surprised by how early Ted Lowendick is braking, and as a result, Michael got alongside. Gets a great run into the last corner, and if he can take it flat out, he can maybe challenge into turn number 1. We're gonna see here ahead of them, Mac Miller trying to put up one on Kyle Strykars as well. Not gonna be able to pull it off. Michael Ross behind them. Oh, into the SS. I think he has to stay behind for now, but this is gonna be a great battle train as we go on board with Mac Miller on his roof, seeing these wonderful SS corners heading into turn number 5 right now, and to the exit, a high curve to the outside, and you can just see how much Kyle Strykars was cutting that curve.
Modoff just got the position he was hunting for. He's into the podium. This happened with a mistake from Wilson. just now off of turn 7. I think Wilson caught a little too much curb. Let's double check the replay.
Yeah, let's see. Oh, just running wide on the heading onto the back straight on the second of the so-called Lesmos, and that's all it takes when you got car mode off chasing you down, and mode off now in P number 3 with Wilson in P number 4, and we talked about earlier those mistakes from Brandon Wilson. Another one here, Joe.
I think Mac Miller just had a mistake as well. He falls to the back of that train that we were watching earlier. This is worth a replay as well. He was trying to attack on Kyle Strykars, and it all went south for him. Let's take a look at the 97's incident. That's him to the inside, heading into the chicane, and initially it looks good here. I'm trying to figure out what exactly happened.
Oh, he lost it under acceleration, you know, in the middle of the corner. He got a little bit loose, and then when he was on the throttle trying to turn right, he couldn't turn right because he would have spun around. So just the car is feeling very light at the weight shifting pace, especially the Porsche with all the weight on the rear of the car. They classify it as a rear engine car, but the engine is on top of the rear axle. It's still the most rear balanced car in the field, as we see actually Mac Miller in a great battle here, so I'm going to talk more about Porsches later. Mac Miller in a great battle. He is alongside Ted Lowendick right now. Kyle Strykars and Ted Lowendick, sorry.
Yeah, and whoa, deep on the brakes there for Lowendick. Man, great move. Incredible on the binders for the 172. It's not over yet for Strykars as Michael Ross tries to take a peek down into the final corner, thinks twice about it. Ross, who started on the front row, still mired down in 13th. But incredibly, despite the opening wreck that we saw that looked like it would collect a lot of cars, we've only had 2 retirements so far. 18 of the 20 runners are still going.
Yeah, so it's a great race, and despite the some would say disappointing amount of drivers, we got 20 drivers here in the season finale, but I don't think you need many more at Road Atlanta to make an interesting race, as Strykars a little slow at turn number 5, and here comes Michael Ross to the outside into the first of the Lesmos.
Up into 6, he's offline, and unfortunately that's going to open the door for Mac Miller. Miller takes advantage, and he gets the spot back that he lost just 2 laps ago. Ross has got to do it all over again, but he's got a good slipstream down the backstretch to try and do it. Let's see if he can get it into the chicane. Covering off the inside, Miller's going to make him work for it.
And Cal Quinn made a mistake. Cal Quinn made a mistake on the last chicane as well, outside of the pictures. So you can see it here. We were asked to go to 7th position, and so here we see Correzo Calquin trying to get a move on Rafael Russo, but not getting it done, and blinking his headlights to Russo as well, trying to distract him or maybe sending him a little bit of a message as well. So you can see him coming to the outside here. I think he was unhappy about Calquin, Russo maybe braking it too late, but that was just Calquin making a mistake, braking a little bit too late himself and running out of tractor.
So Calquin still in 8th, but looking for 7th now that he's got himself a little bit more under control. He was bleeding positions before. Suddenly he's gaining them right back, and look at this once again. Strong off of turn 7. He's not as close as we've seen some drivers be, but he is going to get a whiff of that draft. We're talking about names at this place. This used to be called the Dip down here before they put the chicane here. It just was a straight fly through to the final few corners. But this time they have a chance for a pass.
Crossover.
And it's not going to quite work out for Calquin, though he looks for the over-under a little bit.
Yeah, he tries for the crossover inside into the last corner. He gets it nicely done, but Russo squeezing him a little bit there, not giving him much room, and Calquin, as a result of that, has to back out of it. That was a little bit closer now, and I think the battle between these two guys, it's been brewing. Calquin, he has more speed, but he just has not been able to find his way past Rafael Russo so far. Great racing between these guys. I just hope it doesn't take a turn for the worse there.
We were watching that battle further back a little while ago between Lowendick, Strykars, Ross. They've actually dropped Mac Miller recently He is ways behind, about 1.5 seconds behind, and a mistake off of turn 5 for Strykars means that we see a repeat of what we saw just a couple laps ago. Ross around the outside, but this time he's got more momentum. He shuts the door immediately, so Ross up to 12th with that move.
Yeah, Strykars. I saw him a couple of laps ago going a little bit wide on turn number 5, and as a result of that, he just went too far into the curbs, got a little bit loose, had to keep it under control, did a great job of keeping that car in one piece and pointing straight, but he lost enough momentum to allow Michael Ross to get the position on him. And Cal Gwyn once again coming close to Russo as well.
He is. He's gotten that back down to 0.3 of a second. If we want to jump back up to P7, and actually Russo is going to defend from him. He's going to go very shallow into turn 1. What does this mean for Cal Quinn? Can he get inside into turn 3? No, not brave enough.
No, and you don't really want to go side by side there with these GTE cars. They also got Sean Duhamel ahead of them in 17th place. He is 1 lap down in case anyone is wondering what the car is doing there. And they're going to pass him here. Oh, Cal Quinn gets a great exit off of turn number 5. Is he going to run out of room? He's going to point to the guys. Oh, no, not like this. Not like this, guys. They ran into the lap car, and I'm afraid Cal Quinn, he made a move too early. He was trying to force himself between Russo and the lap car, and you're going to see the replay here. That showed that was a little bit over ambitious, I would say.
Yeah, it looks like Russo was trying to box him in. Cal Quinn wasn't having any of it, and it all came out with the 3 of them in the wall. Duhamel, the innocent victim really in all of this, he's minding his own business and just trying to let them through.
Yeah, I mean, he did nothing wrong there. He gave them all the room. He can't disappear from there. But Lafar Russo was showing his racemanship once again, his racecraft. You are absolutely allowed to box someone in. There is not a single rule in the rulebook that says you are not allowed to box another driver in. He was showing great vision, great racecraft, great gamesmanship. And unfortunately for him, Horacio Cal Gwyn was just, too eager for that position and caused an accident.
This promotes a few drivers up. Romig is now in that 7th spot that they were fighting for, but Espinoza thinks that he can maybe take that away. These 2 drivers started in 14th and 13th respectively, so they've gained quite a lot from all the drama that's been happening further up the field. We talked about how this track tends to bite, and it seems to have bitten a lot of them here in the terrors of the night.
Yeah, but the good thing about this is that we got a Ferrari in the top 10.
About time, I guess.
Yeah, silver lining.
Gotta take it where you can. Just 2 Fords and 2 Porsches, 3 Porsches actually. They're in the top 5 right now. We followed them down into the chicane. We're on board with Espinoza. Still giving chase up and over the crest, back down to the front stretch where the cars pick up speed. They're already 140 miles an hour through that quick final turn where there's nothing but a concrete wall to their outside.
Yeah, there's not much protection for the drivers at all. Sean Romig holding on to that 7th position for now, but Espinoza, he wants it. And it would be a great result for him. For Andres Espinoza, I don't remember seeing him this far up front earlier. Might be my memory fading from the early parts of the season though, but Espinoza making a great case for himself here, taking that turn 5 all nice and tidy, and 10 onto the Lesmos and 10 onto the back straight as well, trying to get into the draft. And Espinoza, he's got 2 things working for him. 1, he is being patient behind another driver, and 2, he's got a clean car that hasn't got a single bit of damage, at least from what I can see.
Surprised that Espinoza not able to get much closer here, but he's certainly keeping Romig honest.
Oh yeah, scratch that Espinoza. Yeah, sorry, Espinoza's got a little bit of damage on the right rear. Now that I look again, just a hint of damage to the car, so maybe a bit of contact in the rear end, but other than that, the car looks okay. Just had to correct myself there before anyone else does.
They're still stuck in a stalemate as they come back through turn 1. We're not even halfway through this race. Those drivers involved in those recent incidents, none of them have DNF'd yet. Looks like Duhamel's still taking repairs. It's been a long time, so I'm not sure if he intends to get back out on track. For some reason, Dave Peterson has been in for about 5 minutes. I'm not sure if he hasn't had an incident that we missed. And then Louise Pime Jr. also sitting in there for about 3.5 minutes for reasons unknown to us.
Yeah, Pime Jr., I'm just gonna go ahead and find out what happened to him. Meanwhile, I don't think we need to go to it, but just, to give an update to the viewers, because everyone's got fans here.
Yeah, we're going to keep the cameras on Espinosa, still with the best battle that we've got in the field of 15 drivers still running on track. Romig started to be closed in by that 87. He's going to run out of straightaway. It's pretty steep braking down here into this last chicane. Both of them going to be smooth through there, except it looks like Espinosa's a lot faster initially, but off the corner, Romig with a way better launch.
Yeah, he's able to get a good exit, and as a result of that, you can just see how close they are getting. Update on Louis Pime Jr. as well. He got damaged early on and just hit it. The car was undrivable. So that's the result of his retirement. But yeah, Romig and Espinosa showing a great battle here. Espinosa inching closer and closer as they come to the SS. And into turn number 5, great exit here, and who knows what will happen.
Also worth noting that Cal Quinn got another spot. He managed to pass Lowendick for 13th on his recovery drive. Second recovery drive, I guess you could say, for the 666. Staying on this battle for 7th onto the backstretch once again. Big slide off the corner from the 87. That's going to hamper his hopes.
Yeah, indeed. That's not the way when I exit that corner. The Ferrari, since the update, has been very difficult to drive. I've heard some even pro drivers, and I'm not talking about iRacing pro drivers, I'm talking about real-life pro drivers that drive this car for a living, say that it has been a bit difficult since the last update, and they're working on it apparently. So a little bit of a scoop there for you. Anyway, Espinosa, he's certainly feeling the effects of the difficulty of the car right now, getting a little bit sideways to the back straight, and as a result of that, not able to get the power down as efficiently as he would want. Into turn number 1 here and back again to the SS as we see the Nightfall.
Driver that's been leading all of this, we haven't looked at him. He's essentially won the championship here soon, because 4 more minutes will make it for sure, absolutely, that the 36 car is this season's champion. There you see the Ford and the inky darkness of the night, because there is nobody around him right now. Basically just running on his own here at Road Atlanta. He's got 8 seconds over Rodrigo Mies. Despite Rodrigo being quick in some of the races, today does not appear to be one of them.
Yeah, Jesse Stevens is seeing what my teacher was seeing when they were asking me to make a mind map. But yeah, it's Jesse Stevens all the way today once again. The late part of the season has been absolutely incredible for him. And okay, can we talk about the guy in the second place briefly as well? You know I want to talk about the guy in the second place, Joe.
Go for it. Tell us about Mies.
Rodrigo Mies, the Chilean driver with the fastest Nissan Tida in Chile. He is sitting in second place, 3 seconds ahead of Karl Modov, and he's lapping about equal times. So Rodrigo Mies, he's been looking very good in this race, and let's hope and knock on wood that he is actually able to bring a good result from here today. He's been so unlucky throughout the course of the season, but now it might be the change of fortunes here. I don't think he can unfortunately catch up to Jesse Stevens, but Rodrigo, he's showing good pace so far. Let's see if he can keep Karl Modov behind, who is getting faster as the race goes on, as P7 is closing up once again. Joe, Romig and Espinosa.
And they're being joined by a friend. Remember Michael Ross? Well, he's up to 9th, and he is closed what was a significant gap up to these two. Considering his pace, it's not too great of a shock. The question is, now that he's caught them, can he also pass them? Because it's going to get harder as he gets higher up in the field to try and retake these positions he lost on lap 1. And especially now that these two are fighting, they're not going to be as concerned with the headlights behind them. Their focus is forward.
Yeah, and well, we talked about the popcorn position so many times throughout this season. We're gonna talk about it once again. Michael Ross, he's sitting there in that behind that battle duo now, catching them up slowly. He's gonna have to be mindful of Espinosa and Romig battling, and he's also got time here. Let's remember that he's got 5 seconds behind him to Rafa Russo, who on pace is not able to challenge Michael Ross. And after these guys, 13 seconds ahead. So this is the battle that is gonna take him to the end of the race, as Espinosa went for a move there on Lesmo number 1, but Romig able to fend it off.
Indeed, that was both a late defense and a late attack from both of them. As that happened, Rafael Russo wrecked in the S's. He has since taken a tow. We don't need to go to that because this battle much more interesting. I think Russo's day is over. Down into the chicane, Romig still leads Espinosa, leads Ross. Ross surely saw that move and has got him thinking now. Once again, almost contact now this time as Espinosa gets up to the back of Romig. And is he pitting? He's pitting.
That's a clever move.
I agree.
And outside of your pictures, Cal Guin actually went past Kyle Streichhardt for 12th place into the last chicane. And Streichhardt is gonna maybe try. Oh! There's a slow car on the front straight. Mac Miller.
Can we get on board with either Streichhardt or Cal Quinn there? Because that was a scary moment coming along the front stretch, splitting Miller. Watch this.
Wow. And it's a black car too.
Great heads up from both drivers in that situation. There's very little warning through there.
You can just see the yellow flags into the corner. You have no idea. And let's see this. Kyle Streichhardt just going for a move, seeing nothing, and then suddenly a slow car, and they split him, and neither touched the car. That was great driving from both of the drivers in that situation. Wow.
You see a lot of wreck avoidance from the top 10 on the oval side here on iRacing, but I think the road side deserves some credit for that one because that was beautiful.
And Romig and Ross were side by side in the last corner. Ross was trying for a move, but not quite able to pull through. So a lot of things going down right now as we are halfway through the race. So Michael and Ross now trying to put one on Sean Romig as well, but he's certainly getting more and more racy here. And the more he races with Sean Romig, the more it's gonna play into the hands of Andres Espinosa, who actually just beat it 1 lap ago. And the more this proceeds, the better that move is looking in my perspective.
Also, as of 30 seconds ago, your champion for this season is Jesse T. Stevens. He is now guaranteed points, so he cannot be overtaken by Karl Modoff mathematically. Onto the back stretch we go once again, as Ross has got a very good run on that Porsche. He's going to go off to the right side. That's not a defensive move here. So is he allowing Ross through? Ross starts to stall out a little bit, lacking a little straight line speed. He's going to have to brake deep. And he does. He manages to get side by side into the chicane, letting him through and giving way. Romig hands over P7 to Michael Ross.
Yeah, I think he realized the situation also, that his battle really is with Espinosa right now, not necessarily with Ross. He can get back to him later. He can stay behind him, maybe draft a little bit, but he had no answer there right now, so he's allowing Ross to lead for a bit. But you can see here how fast Romig actually is when he gets to sit behind another car. I'm not sure if Ross is just having difficulty adapting to the full darkness here, or if he's just being a bit careful when he no longer has anyone to follow through those first corners, because that is a very real thing. When you pass someone in this darkness, you can't see almost anything, and suddenly you're like, second guessing yourself, even though you have like hundreds of practice laps here. You're second guessing yourself as to whether or not the track is still there. But from my experience, the track really doesn't change throughout the course of the race in terms of the layout, at least.
Yeah, that's a good point. Humans are visual creatures, and when things go dark on us, it's scary. We don't like that. So hence why we have such bright headlights on these cars. Ross is definitely doing a good job of just holding Romig back, even though he's clinged on to the back of him a little bit. Let's go back to Lowendick, who's challenging Strykars. Both of them going a little bit defensive, but it looks like Lowendick is going to be slightly deeper on the binders. Still coming off the corner. We've seen that's the critical move for a lot of drivers, and I think Strykars is going to have the better one, as Lowendick is going to make the same strategic call here.
Yeah, he is. That's a great move from Lowendick, realizing he can't get past. So, okay, let's cut the losses, go to the pit lane, and fight this battle later on. Now, Strykars has Mac Miller to deal with here. Next, Mac Miller about the second back.
So, an update on our DNFs today. We mentioned Peterson, Fredes, Pfeffer. Duhamel is officially out of the race. He's gone. Pime Jr. is actually still taking repairs 14 minutes in, so he could theoretically get back out there. Russo's been in for about 5 minutes. Not sure if he plans to return that car to the track. He's actually missing his headlights because of his wreck.
Again, Rafael Russo, I think, was the guy who was missing his headlights in Spa too, the other night race. So, and Rafael Russo was actually on the race chat just now saying car was terrible after incident, his race is over. So I don't think he'll be returning. I think he's going to pull a Kimi here and eat some ice cream.
Yeah, I don't blame him there. And this warm Atlanta night, we once again take a look at our leader. It's up to 10 seconds over Rodrigo Mies. So Stevens continues to pull away, and he's now into the latter half of the race. Modov, by the way, his rival in the championship, still holding on to third. He took a third last round when we were at Sonoma. Really just an underwhelming finish to the season for that 9.48 if he's finishing in 2/3. But I will say this, Ossian, if you have to say that 2/3 is underwhelming for a driver, that says something about their ability.
Yeah, it does. It really does. And, well, the higher you get in the ladder, the more you are gonna demand from yourself. That's one of those things. From being when you start off, you just want to do as well as you can. You're chasing your first win, your first lap times. Then you get higher up the ladder. You get to the top split in the official races for the first time, or you start racing in a league like PRL, for example. And you're just gonna see those guys you've been watching on a broadcast many times. You're gonna race against those guys. You're just hyped up to be on the same track with them, and then slowly, gradually, you proceed upwards through the rankings, higher, getting faster, more skilled, more experienced, until you are racing neck on neck with those guys, and your demands are gonna rise. And who would blame you? I mean, who would eat gravel after you've been tasting chocolate?
I can't say I've ever tried to eat gravel, but...
Oh, I have. You haven't mountain biked in your youth, clearly.
Meanwhile, Stevens is coming into pit, and it looks like he's got someone in front of him.
Yeah, that's Kenny Rodriguez.
Ah, yes. Also, Ash has been in and out. He's our highest pitter right now. Stevens will easily take that over unless he has an unusual pit stop.
Mies in the pits as well.
This might be the end of the road for the fuel cell. Modov is in too. Wilson. So I think our leaders have found exactly how far they can go. Looking behind them, Christian Eisler also coming in. Yes, this is it. As the window has closed, Stevens still waiting for that fuel to finish on that car, and it's a decent stop, 16, 17 seconds. In fact, he's going to come out ahead of Kenny Rodriguez. That's awful nice of Kenny to let the lapping car go through in the pit stops.
Yeah, Mies is out of the pit lane as well, as is Modov, but Modov was a little bit faster in the pits, and he's 1.5 seconds, I think. He's right behind Rodrigo Mies after the pit stop, so Mies taking a little bit longer there. Now, Modov is still a distance away, but that's a far shorter distance than it was before, so it's going to be an interesting fight for the second place between Rodrigo Mies and Karl Modov, and they're going to now have to get the temps back into the tires, get them heated up once again.
We're going to hop on board here with the multi-time champion. And I can tell you that everybody has pitted as Miller was the last one, and he's actually just finishing his up. Pime has also called it a day. The 17 car is no longer on the track. He's in the garage. So I think Russo, as you mentioned, will be joining him. That'll get us down to 14 drivers left of our 20 starters. They're dropping like flies now.
They are indeed. And it's a night race at Road Atlanta. I don't know what you were expecting, but I can tell you that it's very hard indeed. And now Espinosa, a little bit of an update for him. Remember how he was fighting technically with Sean Romig for that position? Well, Romig, after the pit stop cycle, is like 5 seconds behind Espinosa now. And Espinosa is right behind Michael Rossi.
Wow, Romig lost out, so he was clearly holding them up. Espinosa at least is holding on to the back of Michael in that 67 Ford. He's got about half a second between them, maybe just trying to ride the coattails to the end, even if he isn't fast enough to try and challenge him, because Ross will probably be trying to chase down Christian Eisler. Now, that is going to be a tall order because it's a whole 13 and a half seconds from Ross to Eisler. So unless he is significantly faster than the Iceman, not sure I'll be able to get this one.
Not at all. And Eisler was the last guy to pit actually here, so he's been saving a little bit of fuel as well and able to benefit from the fact that he did have a shorter pit stop as a result of coming in so late because they had to fuel a little bit less to that car. Stephen Ash now, well, Eisler is 8 seconds behind Stephen Ash, 13 seconds ahead of Ross, so he's all by his lonesome, sitting in the 6th place. But yeah, there are a couple of interesting battles on track that are either developing or are ongoing. P number 11, Mac Miller, Kyle Streichhardt, that's a good one. I think we should give those guys a look as well. Miller and Streichhardt, they are, and Ted Lowendick is in that one as well. They are about to get into jaws of Jesse Stevens in a couple of laps time. But until 10, and even after that, I think this might be the best battle on track, while we of course keep one eye on Mies and Modov for that 2nd place.
That's what the cameras are showing right now. No, it's a little bit hard now for our audience to see if you're not familiar with the cars on who is who and what we're looking at. So this is Modov, the 2nd car in line, and that is Mies that is leading the two of them. Let's head over to that battle between Miller, Streichars, and Lowendick right now, because that's actually fairly close. I'm talking about these three all in a line. And they're going to swing it through turn 1. Last cars on the lead lap, fighting for 11th place, all snaking one behind the other through the darkness. A lot of curb there from Streichars, though. Among these three, that's Miller at the front of them. Streichars is the 2nd in line in the green Porsche that you can see in the back is Lowendick, who is racing another Porsche.
Yeah, and you can see the difference between the lines of Streichhardt and Lowendick there on turn number 5. Streichardt's taking it very aggressively. He's already been beaten once throughout the course of this race by that corner. He's still taking it deep, whereas Lowendick is taking a much shallower line through there, a much tighter line, and he's actually catching up slowly to Streichardt's. Lowendick's got some great pace here, and I wonder what he can do with it.
And a good exit out of 7. Streichars is slowly coming across the racing line. Now he's half covering off the inside. Not very much, though, and Lowendick sees an open door. He's going to step through it. Is he successful, though, or is he going to trip over himself? He's passed. Can we get an over-under from Streichars? Not quite.
No, I think Lowendick did a great job of holding that line and holding the inside, and Streichardt's gonna try it in the turn of 1. Late braking move, not a chance there. But Lowendick was actually a little bit wide on the exit, and as a result of that, Streichardt's gonna challenge into turn number 3. Neither of them backing down. Lowendick not gonna get the run. So Streichardt's, I already said that he had lost the battle, but no, actually, that was a great try into turn number 1. It looked a little bit desperate. He was braking a little bit early for my liking, but Lowendick made a bit of a mistake at the exit. He was thinking he was maybe gonna run out of track, which is a visual thing. You're gonna easily fool yourself in turn number 1 because it feels like you're always running a little bit too wide here when you have just the right speed. And Lowendick, well, he had to stamp on the brakes, and that's when Streichhardt beat him back. So Lowendick, a nice try, but not this time.
Just noticed that Modov fell off the back of Mies, and I'm trying to see if I can find a mistake because he was about a second slower than normal that last lap. I'm not finding anything significant. Very weird situation. Meanwhile, with that battle that we were watching with Romig, with Strykars and Lowendick, I almost thought they made side-to-side contact up into turn 3. It was getting a little fierce in the dark. We're watching Romig in the meantime being chased by Cal Quinn.
Yeah, Calvin once again in a battle after those misfortunes earlier on and the mishap he had with Rafa Russo and that lapped car of Sean Duhamel. We remember that one well. Calvin is back and he's challenging for 9th place. Sean Romig ahead of him. And I wonder if Calvin learned a bit of a lesson there earlier on.
Well, hopefully it's not a bad lesson, because as they come down the backstretch and he closes in on Sean, you can see the headlights behind them. That'll be Mac Miller, who is a distance back. So they are not under threat in these dying stages unless they have another off. They can fight as much as they want to try and settle out the 9th spot, and he's very good on the brakes. Cal Quinn looks confident compared to Romig.
Yeah, he is looking through his sights at Sean Romig, and no wonder this man is used to looking through the sights because he's an ex-Counter-Strike pro. Here's a tidbit for you. Horatio Calguin used to play for the Punto CL Counter-Strike team, and he actually has a HLTV profile as well.
Fascinating. So clearly a confident esports player all around. As they come up through the S's and up over turn 5. Confident enough that he can once again gain on Romig, who is going to hold the middle of the track. As they come through turn 6, this time they don't make contact. They manage to keep it on the pavement. Onto the back stretch. This could be really the spot that Cal Quinn was waiting for, and indeed he gets a decent exit.
Yeah, he tries to go for it, but I don't think he's gonna go for it here. Well, I wonder because Romig is to the left. Is he gonna leave a gap for Cal Quinn to go through? He's defending the middle, going all the way to the left.
Oh no!
Left. Oh. Okay, that looked far worse than I think Cal Quinn intended. I'm gonna say it right away because that looked terrible. Contact between Cal Quinn. Here we're gonna see a replay, and I'm gonna explain exactly the thinking of Cal Quinn. He was seeing Romig defending the middle lane. He saw him leave a gap, and he tries to go for the gap. Look here. But he didn't anticipate Romig braking a little bit earlier than he was maybe calculating.
Yeah, he misjudged it. And I think he gave the spot back. In fact, well, he's given a spot to Miller now as well. Now, I'm not sure if the car is damaged and he's just slow, but credit to him, he's allowed Romig back into 9th.
Yep. Yeah, and that was the right thing to do. And look at Romig. That's the kind of angle you don't want to see your rear wing at.
Yeah, certainly
not. Skate ramp. I want to pull a varial heel flip out of that one.
I just wish I could varial heel flip. Never was good at flip tricks. Meanwhile, Mac Miller is certainly enjoying those two battling as much as they have been, because not only has he gotten a spot from Cal Quinn, he is closed up to the back of Romig here. If he is clean enough, if he's fast enough, and Romig is slow enough from his damage, could we see Mac Miller move himself up into 9th after starting this race in 15th?
We could. What, you want me to analyze that?
No, straight answer is a good answer as well. Meanwhile, down the hill and across the line once again, we're down to 13 minutes left to go. Still plenty of time for this to hold action for us. We are losing action between Rodrigo and Carl, by the way, for second place. Modoff falling back to 3.2 seconds now. So not sure if he as well is suffering from damage or just a car that's not good at the end of the race.
Yeah, and these three guys, Sean Romig, Mac Miller, Horatio Calguin, they're gonna have Jesse Stevens for company soon. Oh, as Mac Miller goes a little bit wide on turn 5, goes very wide indeed. Ooh. Stevens has to brake a lot. And as a result of that, well, Calguin was actually very careful there. He was braking as well behind those guys, so he's content on sitting behind Mac Miller for now. Kyle Strykart's right behind Horatio Calguin there, and Ted Lowendick has caught up to the pack as well.
Ooh, so more battles erupting. And Stevens is going to lead them all. I'm sure he'd rather be in front of all of this, to be honest. Mac Miller watching behind, going a little bit defensive on them. And, well, oh, Cal Quinn is going way too deep, or is he?
Ooh.
Holy cow!
Last of the
That
late
was from a
breakers.
mile back.
That was from the International Space Station.
Let's watch that one more time. I don't know if Miller was just that early or what happened there.
Yeah,
Oh, he locked up the tires. He wasn't expecting that. Cal Quinn was just as shocked as we were.
I never seen a slideshow being done on a tarmac surface. So that was an incredible late break, half accident, I think, a happy little accident from Cal Quinn. But yeah, going back to what happened earlier between Cal Quinn and I think Sean Romig it was, that earlier incident, just a brief talking point. As I said, it's very easy to make that mistake when you want to switch the lanes at the last moment to the inside. You want to make a move from the outside to inside, sell a dummy. It's very easy, especially in the darkness, to lose track of your braking point, and that's gonna make an incident look far worse than the intent was, as Ted Lowendick and Carl Streichardt are side by side.
Yeah, Lowendick's going to be covering off the inside as Streichardt tries to take him down into the chicane. If we could get the cameras to P12, and Streichardt looking for the over-under now, coming off the corner. They're going to go side by side through the final turn. Sorry, I thought the headlights went out. That was the connection issue for Ted Lowendick and sent him into darkness for a second. I'm sure that was equally scary for Kyle.
Yeah, I thought he shut off his car for a second.
I
or
did
something,
too.
Ran out of fuel. yeah. But Lowendick is actually gonna now take the 12th place, Streichardt 13th, and now he's gonna set off to chase Mac Miller. And look at the gap Cal Quinn has made since he got past Mac Miller. He's now a couple of car lengths behind Sean Romig, so the old battle partners, they may dance once more. I just hope Cal Quinn doesn't have a 6-shooter.
My
It's
brain
actually
had
an 8-shooter in Counter-Strike, Alright.
my brain had to do a little quick reminder as that happened that you can't turn off the headlights here on iRacing. So unless he did shut off the ignition, which he did not, that was just a connection issue. Regardless, man, some bizarre things happening. And we've got Espinoza in the lane. Why is Andre Espinoza down pit lane here? Did he have an incident, or is this a fuel calculation error? I'm checking. I'm not seeing any contact with the wall or anything.
Could be incident count.
Oh, that's a good point.
Could be
That
incident
might be the
count.
culprit.
Yeah, unless he made a serious error with the fuel calculation because he came in so early on. That could be it too. Meanwhile, Sean Romig has been caught up by Horacio Cal Quinn, and I wonder if Cal Quinn is gonna ride behind him. I just wonder if Cal Quinn's gonna just ride home behind him because, of the earlier incident, he's seeing Romig's car being very damaged, and I wonder if Cal Quinn is gonna make a move here or not. He's being very careful behind the place.
Yeah, Romig was making sure to defend very early, as they also have Mac Miller back there once again. Ring the bell. It's time for round 3. Romig versus Cal Quinn, and the final 8 minutes of this race. I'm sure Cal Quinn probably feels a little sheepish, but Romig doesn't know if it was on purpose or not. And here comes Miller closing in. You're right, he's just going to hold back, and he's actually going to let Miller through, and Miller's going to go for a 2-for-1, which doesn't quite work out.
That was close! That was a close shave if I've ever seen one. Mac Miller almost punting Sean Romig around, but able to make it work. Cal Quinn, great discipline staying behind this battle. And, you can see just Cal Quinn holding back. Mac Miller now fighting with Sean Romig. I think this is going to be a short fight, sadly. Here makes Romig mistake. Romig makes mistake, goes a little bit wide. End of turn number 3. Gonna have to let Mac Miller through, and you can see Cal Quinn here. He's waiting like a good boy for Romig to get back on track. So we're seeing what's happening here in Lowendick. I think he might be actually getting 2 free positions here, and he's also gonna climb into top 10 as a result of that. So great sportsmanship from Horatio Calguinder.
Yeah, big credit to him. The 666 clearly knowing that, feeling to blame for that incident and trying to do what he feels is fair. But like you said, it's going to cost him because they've got Strykars and Lowendick back there. Now, you might count more cars than that behind them. That's because that's Rodrigo Mies in second place giving chase, and he's actually being caught by Karl Modov somewhat. So all this traffic is horrible news for Mies, who's going to get one of them, as actually Lowendick took a move on Cal Quinn that doesn't quite work out.
Yeah, and let's jump on board with Rodrigo Mies. I have a request because they are side by side ahead of him, Calguin and Lowendick. And here comes Rodrigo Mies. He's actually Calguin's teammate somewhat. He's going to try and move on Lowendick into turn number 1. Is he going to be able to pull through? Yes, he is. Calguin avoiding him as well, so that's good job. Now, here comes Modov. He's behind this battle pack as well, heading into the SS. He's going to get past 1. That's Strykars. He still has Lowendick and Calguin to deal with here.
He manages to get that 1. He unfortunately has the other 2 in front of him through the S's. Oh, and he's very wide. Karl Modov, a horrible run through turn 5, will deny him a chance to get by before 6. So what was him trying to keep touch with Mies has suddenly gone wrong for him.
Lowendick around. Lowendick went around in the Lesmo 1. You saw it on the pictures. No need for a replay here, but he went around just in front of Karl Modov as well.
I don't know about you, Ossian, but I always find it scarier when a car wrecks in front of you at nighttime because it's so much harder to gauge what exactly is happening.
Nah, I mean, it's scary always when a car wrecks in front of you. At night, I find it easier because you don't necessarily see it, so you can just floor it and then it's over.
It's hard to be scared of what you can't see, right?
Exactly.
Well, unfortunately, that is going to send him back to 12th place. Now, Espinoza did return to the track, by the way. Espinoza's still running in 13th place. And suddenly Brandon Wilson grayed out on my screen. I'm guessing this is connection related because he hasn't come in for a stop and go like we saw for Espinoza.
Yeah, and update on Espinoza, he's 13th right now actually because he got past Kenny Rodriguez for the position just now, but that's the final position he's gonna get, I think. Well, Lowendick is still in 12th, but Lowendick, actually, where is that Lowendick? He spun out, oh yeah.
Yep, remember he got sent backwards. Lowendick's in 14th now.
And he actually came to the pit lane after that. So that's the result. I wasn't seeing him. So that means Espinoza is in 12th place.
Lowendick, I think, was one that was short on fuel because I see a 2-second stop for him. So I think maybe he miscalculated it.
Yeah, that's a large miscalculation if you make a 2-second pit stop. Have to make a 2-second pit stop, yeah. So he did make a miscalculation. Now, some of these drivers, in case you're wondering, are running software to help with the fuel calculation, various commercial software. Some do the calculations in their heads. So, you might make a mistake sometimes, especially if you do it in your head.
Watching from on board Cal Quinn, who I don't think has changed his strategy since. Remember, Romig is able to hold ahead of him because Cal Quinn went into him and is trying to give him the position. They're still being chased by Strykars and Espinoza, more so Strykars now since Espinoza's about 14 seconds back.
Yeah, and Horatio Calguin, he was one of those drivers when Michael Ross was deliberating his career in the PRL forums, actually. Gonna share a little bit of the story I read from there. Horatio Calguin was just about the first guy to tell that, don't worry about the hard days, it's gonna get better. Basically giving him advice and giving him feedback about his own experience as a pro Counter-Strike player. So, he may make some mistakes on track sometimes, Horatio, but from what I've read, he's a great person and a great gentleman and a great asset for his team to have a guy like that around. Because those are the guys that when you get them to your team, they are the glue that holds the whole team together. Because every team, they need a team mom or a team dad to, just hold the team together and spur them on to great results.
Taking a glance at Modoff on our timing screens, it's come down to a second now, up to Mies, and they are approaching traffic. It's going to be Mac Miller in front of them. If this slows him down enough, even though we've got only 2.5 minutes left, and I think that's about 2 laps that we have to go, this is the best opportunity that Modoff is going to have to be able to be best to the rest here and get into P2.
Yeah, Mies is not right behind Mac Miller, as you said, and on the back straight, he's going to get an easy pass. But Modoff is coming, and he is coming fast. 6 tenths faster last time by. So our Chilean, whose fan base is strong here in the chat, watching the race, all of his fans are here, and they're cheering this man on. They're calling him the GOAT, the greatest of all time. I wonder about that. And me as well, he's gonna have to fight for that second place for these last couple of laps. Modoff comes through as well. Let's see the lap times. Rodrigo Mies 116.6, Car Modoff 116.2.
Great job by Miller to get out of the way of these two, knowing that they're fighting for a top position here. To ride on board with Rodrigo, looking back at the 948.
And you can just see the lines here. He's taking it a little bit easy on these last couple of laps. I'm hoping he didn't short fuel. He had a long enough of a pit stop to make those worries go away a little bit. But Car Modoff, he is coming, and he is coming fast, and he is in the draft range. So all the way through this long back straight, one of the longest back straights in America, one of the longest straights even. Car Modoff is gonna get an advantage through here. Let's see the speeds. 260 for Rodrigo Mies, Car Modoff 264 at the point, so gaining a little bit here, going through the corners very fast. But is he gonna run out of time, our multi-time champion Car Modoff, or is he gonna pull an ace out of his sleeve in the last lap?
Yep, no more chances after this. And there's very few passing zones around this track, as Jesse Stevens has taken the white flag. There you see him heading down into turn 6. Oh, and Modoff is close now. It was within 0.3 of a second after turn 1. So Mies definitely feeling the pressure. We once again right on board with the Chilean driver. Looking back at Karl Modoff. He's not close enough here into turn 6. He's going to have a monumental run down the backstretch.
He is, but I think we should jump a little bit for Jesse Stevens now. He is coming to the last chicane, and he is our champion. I'm going to keep an eye on Rodrigo Mies and Car Modoff here.
Yep, this is our new champion. The number 36 takes it home with a win, and it's going to be win number 7 here at Road Atlanta. Let's take a look at the battle back for second with Mies, and I don't think Modoff has anything for him.
No, here comes Mies into the last corner. Just one more turn to go, and he is able to hold back Car Modoff. He is able to take second place at the season final here at Road Atlanta, and he is elated, flashing the headlights. Modoff is gonna finish third, rounding out your podium. Fourth place, Steven Nash for a long time. P8, Sean Romick, Kyle Gwynn gonna finish P9 and 10, but behind them, we're just gonna wait for these guys to finish. But wow, what a season for Jesse Stevens. He was able to completely turn around, and here at Road Atlanta, one of the finest racetracks on that side of the Atlantic, and indeed in the world, he is finally crowned a champion.
Amazingly, we only had 6 cars left on the lead lap. It wasn't just the attrition, but the difference in pace here. That's going to mean that we are heading to break now. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. If you watch on screen, you can see all the upcoming races here on GSRC. Welcome back to Road Atlanta. You can't see a whole lot, but I feel like Jesse Stevens has seen plenty, maybe a few stars right now, after he is probably elated to have taken the championship here in the final round of the PRL GTE Sports Car Series. He won today his 7th victory of the season. He came back with a vengeance after it seemed like he was outpaced by Modoff early on in the season. Rodrigo Mies was the one that came home second, very closely chased actually by Carl Modoff, who wound up at least taking another podium in the last round. Stephen Ash was the one that wound up in fourth. We lost Brandon Wilson. Remember I mentioned that he was great out on my screen? Well, he fell down the order, unfortunately, I think due to connection issue. Christian Eisler wound up being promoted to fifth because of that. With Michael Ross recovering to sixth, he got spun in the very first turn, actually made contact with the wall. Unfortunately, it could have been a better day, but at least he finished on the lead lap with that. Mac Miller was seventh, climbing up from 15th, and Sean Romig managed P8. Then it's Horatio Cal Quinn doing a very gentlemanly drive to finish ninth behind Romig, who he had some unfortunate contact with. And then Kyle Strykars rounds out the top 10.
Andreas Espinosa in the Ferrari. With that last late pit stop, he wound up 11th, not quite able to muster off a top 10 today. Kenny Rodriguez finishing 12th. Ted Lowendick 13th, and then we're gonna run through the list of retirements. Brandon Wilson, Rafael Russo, Luis Paim Jr., Sean Duhamel, Dave Peterson, Ignacio Fredes, and Christopher Pfeffer. All of those drivers listed as out of this race, as I believe Joe Peak is going to have some words with our new champion.
I do indeed. And first of all, even though it is unofficial, congratulations, Jesse Stevens, on becoming the latest champion here in the PRL GTE Sports Car Series. How does it feel?
It feels really good for to finally wrap up and all the hard work that I put in every single week for a setup.
I can only imagine. It seemed like you put a ton into it this season, eventually overtaking Modoff and beating him on pace today. How nerve-wracking was it, though, coming into this race, even though it was pretty solid that you had such a huge gap, knowing that you had to at least finish 50% of the race? Did that cause you to back off a little bit to ensure that you at least got the points and got halfway through this thing?
Yeah, just a little bit. I kind of started playing a game to see how consistent I could be, but when it started getting really dark and it started getting really hard to see the apexes, made it quite challenging. But it kept me focused and not really thinking about anything else.
Yeah, I imagine maybe you didn't want to be thinking about that championship too much. I guess the next question is then, are you coming back next season to defend your crown?
I'm gonna take a break, actually, from sim racing entirely. Just had a baby girl like 3 weeks ago or so, so I want to take the time, spend time with family, and be back sometime.
Taking the Rosberg approach. And, listen, I can't blame you on that. It sounds like raising a family is far more important, especially now that you've had an achievement like this. Again, congratulations, and thank anybody you want to thank before you head out here.
Yeah, just want to thank all my buddies over at Radicals. It's just a great environment to be in. Like to thank my buddy Dion with a couple setup knowledge tips to get everything started back at Watkins Glen when I changed cars. But yeah, just a little bit of everybody to help make everything happen.
Well, it was an impressive season, 7 wins out of 10 rounds. That was Jesse Stevens, your new champion and your winner today. Up next, I believe we've got Ossian talking to Rodrigo Mies, who apparently has quite a big fan base in the chat tonight.
Yes, he has, and they have a reason to cheer as well. Rodrigo, second place. It was not easy, but was that the kind of end to the championship you wanted?
Hi guys, thank you. Yes, it was a very exhausting race. Road Atlanta is a very hard circuit. If you lose the focus, you go directly to the wall, and it's a lot of work to get into the base without mistakes. And I want to say thanks to my friends that were watching me today and to my family, like always.
Yes, it is important indeed to remember those who help you along the road. You had the multi-time champion Karl Modov behind you on the last laps. Tell me about how it felt to have Karl coming closer and closer and closer with the time running out. How much pressure was there?
Yeah, it was very, very hard, you know. Uh, I saw in the relative that he was coming closer, and one part in my head say push, get faster, and the other part said no, 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 calm down, no mistakes, you know. And it's like a mental fight in the head.
I know that feeling. I know that feeling so well, Rodrigo. Well, it was a season of two stories for you. A lot of misfortune, a lot of bad luck, but also great results. Are you gonna come back next season? And if so, are you gonna come back even stronger?
Yeah, we're working on that. We are working that I'll get stronger for the next season, and hope that I can get into Steven's pace. You know, he's very fast, very good driver without mistakes. And yeah, we are working with the team. Everyone in the team is working to get better, always better. We give our feedbacks one to another, you know, so we can get better lap times.
Well, Rodrigo, we have an international audience out here today. We have a lot of your friends as well in the audience. So, Rodrigo, finalmente algunas palabras en español para sus seguidores.
Sí, le quiero dar gracias a los cabros, ahí, a todos los que me apoyaron, a mi familia, eh, y al equipo, porque a pesar de todo, uno cometió errores siempre, pero siempre están ahí para apoyarlo a uno, especialmente en los momentos difíciles, y a mi familia sobre todo, que siempre me está bancando, a mi papá, a mi mamá, a todos.
Well, thank you, Rodrigo. Thank you very much. And we'll see you next season.
Thank you, guys.
And that was Rodrigo Mies. And next we have Joe Peak talking to the man who was in the championship hunt all the way to the last race.
Yeah, even if it was a slim chance, Ozzy putting my Spanish to shame. Thankfully, I get to talk to an American here. Carl, it didn't work out in the end. You'll take second in the championship here, but I guess the one consolation is it sounds like Stevens will not be back to defend. So will you be back to try and have another go at taking another championship, getting that number 3?
Hey, what's up, guys? I'll say congrats to Jesse there. He drove great. Yeah, made no mistakes. Was fast all season, so really put the pressure on. I overdrove a lot trying to keep up with him, made a lot of mistakes, and had some terrible results. So well-deserved championship to him. And yeah, I'm going to take a break as well. This is, I'm not sure how many seasons in a row I've done. I took a break before, and it really helped. Just kind of take some time off. After a while, you drive the GTE car so consistently, and you're kind of stuck in one car all the time. If you're doing the PRL, really be fast. And that gets draining over time, and you lose interest a little bit too, so you're not as dedicated. So, you know, when someone like Jesse comes around and fully focused, just spanks you, it's time to step away for a little bit and, you know, come back when I can challenge him a little bit better. But, yeah, I've really enjoyed racing with you guys on the GSRC. And I'll be back, I'm sure, at some point, just not next season.
Well, we definitely look forward to seeing you back because it's always entertaining watching you on track. Speaking of entertaining, I have to imagine that first lap left you a little bit wide-eyed because you went from 10th to 4th. Tell us about going through those accidents.
Yeah, that was quite the opening lap. I got to remember to save that replay. I knew I had really good pace, but for some reason my qualifying setup was undrivable, basically. And so starting 10th, I thought I would have a good result, maybe get up to second, but I wasn't expecting to be 4th after the first turn. And it was just kind of really slippery, really cold, and guys looked like spin off every way. Luckily, one of those situations where you just choose a direction and it turned out to be correct all the way through. So yeah, awesome opening lap.
Yeah, about the best you could have asked for. Now, Obviously, this with you taking a break, you have probably real world stuff that'll take over your focus for a bit. What sort of things will you be taking up your time with, especially since a lot of us will be kind of stuck inside here for a while?
Well, I'm going to be focusing more on the special events. So we, coming into Le Mans, and typically when those things come around, I just started this season. So when they come around, I'm splitting focus between that and then the PRL, and sometimes you're driving different cars, so it's kind of hard to really be dedicated to one. So we're going to be a little more focused in that, going forward, and hopefully we'll have some good results there.
All right. Well, we look forward to that as well. That was Carl Modoff, our third place finisher here today. And I think that is going to wrap up our interviews potentially. Seeing if we've got one more. Yep, we're wrapped up, unfortunately. So we've got to head off for the evening. We will be back next season. We'll talk about that more in a moment. But first, a big thank you to our sponsors. Once again, starting off with the Simulation Motorsports Affinity. That is simsa.net. If you want to check them out and see how you can get involved with the worldwide sim racing community. And also to Butt Kicker, if you want some new gear for your sim rig, since it seems like a lot of us are doing more sim racing recently, thebuttkicker.com is where you can find their stuff. Also, thanks to iRacing for putting us on IES, and as well as a thank you to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcasts that are listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. And thanks to the team today, Aussie and Sean and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, or you can check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. If you'd like to support us, check out our merchandise store at gsrc.storenv.com. But if you don't want to type that in, there should be a link in the description below. We will be back for the first round in June when we get a schedule for that one. But we have already signed up for a return here with the Precision Racing League. Very much looking forward to that. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard. See you on the track.